City of Seattle and Mayor Bruce Harrell face possible lawsuit after attack by Antifa against Christian worshipers holding a worship event in a legally permitted park setting, Calenderson Park. What's the deal here? Yeah, this is Seattle. This is where things just go wildly wrong. Let's get into it. Here we go. Here's what a little footage of that event looked like. You've got a group, a religious group from Spokane, Washington, came to Seattle, pulled a permit, and they're holding basically a mini, worship event, an outdoor worship event. They got some music going on. They probably got some speakers. They got people saying stuff up there with the microphone. All legal, all completely nonviolent. And then you got Seattle's Antifa rolls in, and they just basically start attacking the Christian group holding a worship service. I mean, that is just so Seattle, isn't it? And then the mayor, Bruce Harrell, he says, they instigated it. The Christians instigated this event. It's their fault. They provoked Antifa to basically this wild, violent attack. They provoked them. Mayor Bruce Harrell, you guys issued the permit. You knew it was going to be in Calenderson, the absolute heart of liberal ideology, progressive LGBTQ plus ideology. It is literally the spot where Chop and Chaz was held, right? Calenderson Park, just that whole thing. Let's watch the video. Start at the beginning. Good show of force by the police. 2 thumbs up. But when you got all these cops at this event here, they are not, because we're so short-staffed in police in Seattle, 600-700 cops short. When you're that short-staffed and you've got this many police, the rest of the city, public safety, yeah, not really covered. But that's how it goes in a big blue Democrat-run liberal progressive city. You can't have both. You know what I mean? So this is what you get.
Can I help you? Gonna get flat. Hey, get back. Stay behind. Sorry. Hey, yeah, just say, hey, stay back. Stay behind me.
Good. Handcuffs. That's where you belong. So most of those scenes were shot, and I've talked about this. I've got a whole nother video on this. Most of these scenes were shot where they had the blacks and indigent people only gardening area. I don't know if you remember that from Chop and Chaz, but where most of those arrests were happening, that's where the garden area was. Calling that a garden area is aggressive at best. But yeah, Calenderson Park, Chop and Chaz, heart of Antifa in Seattle. And somehow the city of Seattle said, yeah, let's go ahead and throw a Christian group in there. Should be fine.
Don't say anything for being silent.
So that's somebody on an intercom from Antifa. They are so highly trained to just basically get booked, and then you've got a bunch of George Soros money that, or these NGOs that just bail them out because this is somehow a good use of taxpayers' money, supporting these lunatics who come out and literally get in violent altercations with church-going people espousing views that they don't want their children to sexually be molested with. And somehow the mayor of Seattle says that the churchgoers are the ones that provoked this violent outburst by Antifa. We are truly living in the down under. Living in the down under. These people are such losers. Losers. They know it. All black, red hair. It's one of those side alley streets. Good. Arrest them, haul them away, and then the judges will just release them. It's Seattle for you, right? I mean, it is Seattle for you. Alliance Defending Freedom is considering legal action against Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell and other city officials after a Christian worship event at Calenderson Park was violently disrupted on May 1st. The group Mayday USA held a permitted event that quickly descended into chaos after protesters, some masked and dressed in black, allegedly assaulted attendees and police. Some dressed in black. They've all got masks on. They all wear black. They're Antifa. They're losers. That's who dresses like that. Videos from the scene showed worshipers being shoved and cursed at, with one man being tackled to the ground. Nothing says tolerance like a person dressed in all black with a mask on, blue hair, chasing somebody down and tackling them because they're worshiping Jesus. Nothing says tolerance more than that, does it? If you're new to this channel, I am being completely sarcastic because that's the only way you can address this. These people, just Seattle leadership, I mean, who thought this was a great idea? In Seattle's defense, this is what I have to say there. People pull a permit. All right, we're going to do this. We're going to have this happen. Well, how many people are you going to have? A couple hundred. Okay. On that date, you're planning to come. These are the fields that we have open. Does Calenderson Park work for you? I mean, these folks, even though they're coming from Spokane, they knew that Antifa was hot and heavy in this area. Black Lives Matter was hot and heavy in this area back in the George Floyd era. Right? After police made several arrests, Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell released a statement insinuating the worshipers were responsible for provoking the violence.
And probably portions of
That's our mayor.
Tomorrow morning.
Mayor of a pretty major North American city, releasing a statement insinuating the worshipers were responsible for provoking the violence. Not Antifa. They're the ones that actually did the violence. The worshipers, the Bible bashers, the Jesus people.
Region early next
These are just people going to do their church thing. They've got a right to do that. 14th Amendment, First Amendment, free speech. They've got a right to do it. And they did everything by the books. Now, when you have Black Lives Matter hold these rallies, they never pulled a permit. And then they would leave the park and go out and just bash and try and burn down local businesses and graffiti everything up. That's what they do. Today's far-right rally. So now, anybody, if you have ever attended church, if you believe, if you have faith, you are now considered far-right extremists. Let that sink in. You are now a far-right extremist. You are thrown in with anybody on the far-right extreme ideology that's out there. Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't, because it's not. It's simply not true. The far-right rally was held here for this very reason, to provoke a reaction. But this is the mayor talking. Mayor Bruce Harrell. Who within Seattle Public Works or whatever decided this would be a good idea? Who decided that would be a good idea? Oh, we looked at the logistics and we put them there. By promoting beliefs that are inherently opposed to our city's values. So this is something that I've been focusing on with this topic. So these folks, their big deal is don't mess with our children. Literally a hashtag. So is Seattle okay with messing with children sexually? Is that what we're saying? That the belief system of Seattle is it's okay to have sex with children? Is that literally what we're saying? I guess so. In the heart of Seattle's most prominent LGBTQ plus neighborhood. You know, just because it's a prominent LGBTQ plus neighborhood doesn't mean you can attack people. I don't know if you know that's a thing. Can't run around and attack people. What was interesting is the police were there in force. The East Precinct, the one that Jenny Jerkin gave up, is literally right there. I mean, it is, 2 blocks away from Calenderson Park. The police East Precinct sits up on the north and east corner of like Pike, or I think it's Pike and 11th, something like that. And Calenderson Park is a little bit of a walk down a tiny little hill, and then you're there. I mean, it is, I don't know, a couple of minute walk, something like that. So then Jason Rantz weighs in. Will City of Seattle face a lawsuit? And federal and state laws protect free speech and religious freedom for all, regardless of their views. This is a lawsuit that knuckleheads a few years ago from the Antifa side probably would have had a pretty good case with, because there was some real violence. People got hurt during this whole thing. You had a cop get hurt. You had a cop need medical attention because Antifa just went ham on a group of worshipers. Make that make sense. This is how godless Seattle has become. Just completely godless. Just, you know what? Did I say, let it rip? And the reason I say that is because the rest of the country is looking in at Seattle, looking in at Portland, looking in at San Fran, and going, man, we do not identify with any of their values. If this is what Democrat looks like, let's go Republican, because we need anything but that. Anything but that. When you're talking about not in line with religious, with values, well, not having sex with children, I don't know if you know this, but a lot of adults believe that. Yeah, they don't think having sex with children and messing around with children is an okay thing. And that's literally one of the main tenets of this group that was getting together. City officials must not permit violent mobs to threaten, harass, or assault individuals exercising these rights. The city has a legal obligation to ensure the safety and rights of all citizens. If this would have happened down in Portland, it would have been an absolute free-for-all, and I do not believe the police would have intervened. Antifa actions down in Portland are basically protected. They just are. You watch event after event after event. Leadership in Portland says stand down. 14th Amendment guarantees people of faith equal protection to express their views without fear of violence or harassment. And this was a textbook case of people having a worship event. A worship event. They weren't doing anything weird. This wasn't even like a hemp fest where it's like, oh, that used to be illegal. Oh, what are we doing there? Or some just weird sex, event like at Seattle Center. What's that one where they show a bunch of kinky movies? What is that? I forget what that is. It's such a Seattle thing though, right? ADF also said it will monitor the city's response in the upcoming Rattle in Seattle. We got the Rattle in Seattle happening in about 3 hours here in Seattle, Washington. This group is going to go down to City Hall and basically say, hey, what are you guys doing? What are you guys talking about? Because we just held that event and we were attacked by a bunch of nut jobs from Antifa. What's up with that? And I think they've got a right to do that. Where tensions are again expected between activists and religious groups, Pastor Russell Johnson of Pursuit Northwest will be leading the rally, calling on Mayor Harrell to apologize or resign. Harrell isn't going to resign after this. He's pretty thick-skinned. But he should apologize. I believe he should apologize because the comments he's made are really out of line with reality. And yet, they're in complete alignment with Seattle reality, which isn't reality. It's this ideology of, you're basically mentally challenged. You're mentally like men can have babies, that kind of mentally challenged. If you want to be LGBTQ plus, support that, no issues, because it's got to go both ways, right? You want to support that, great. But then when a church group comes to a park that they have a permit for, and then you shut it down, that is literally the definition of intolerance, something that Democrats talk about continuously. Intolerance. We need to be more tolerant. We need to be more transparent. Nothing could have been less tolerant or less transparent than the motivation by the far left Antifa on this event. Period. So, Russell Johnson, the mayor of Seattle, tries to reach out to me via back channels. I told his folks, happy to talk after he apologizes and retracts his bigoted statements about people of faith. Yeah, we're talking about people of faith. We're not talking about some weird sect out there that just, believes some kind of weird thing and comes into Seattle and has a little rally talking about people of faith who have, what used to be 15 minutes ago, pretty normal values. But Seattle has gone so far left, as has Portland, as has San Fran, as has LA. They've all gone so far left that people that used to be middle of the road, I go to church every now and then. No, I don't really believe in having sex with children is a good idea. Yeah, I think there's two sexes. No, men can't have babies. Some of those pretty normal, still worldwide held beliefs. Yeah, you know what I mean? Now he releases a statement saying he is being intimidated because he is biracial. No, Bruce, you're being called out because you made statements that they're going to fly in Seattle, but the rest of the world looking in, they're like, oh, that's what Democrats believe now? Is that really what Democrats believe? So that's why I say, let her rip. Podcasts for days, right? We will not be intimidated by the kind of fear-mongering. Where was the fear-mongering with a group of people holding a worship service? Where was the fear-mongering and divisiveness inspired by the rally and extreme rhetoric? Oh, so now freedom of speech is not a thing. Freedom to express your religious values is not a thing. It's considered extreme rhetoric by a far-right extremist. Churchgoers. Yeah. That takes aim at our residents and at Seattle's second black and first biracial mayor. So now we fall into the rate basing category. Why did we go to race? Nobody's saying, hey, we're upset because Seattle's black mayor set us up on this bad boy. Nobody's saying that. They held an event. They got hammered on. They got attacked. The cops arrested 23 people. End of story, right? End of story, except there's a little lawsuit. I'd say in any other city, this lawsuit would work, but because it's Seattle and we've got just such mentally challenged judges and judicial system, I don't know what'll happen. Probably nothing, but hey, I'll get a podcast out of it. Calls grow for Seattle mayor to step down after weekend arrests. Some tense moments at King County Jail Monday. This as protesters arrested over the weekend appeared before a judge. Nearly 24 people were arrested Saturday at Calenderson Park. It's when a rally by a Christian pro-family group turned violent. The whole thing is just absolutely nutty. Here's Fox's comments. Seattle mayor blames Christian rally for inspiring violent anarchists who infiltrated counter-protest. They infiltrated a counter-protest. No, they were the counter-protest. Let's get it right. And that's why they put it in quotes. They infiltrated the counter. This is literally what our mayor is saying. Mayor Harrell accused anarchists of infiltrating a counter-protest, the May Day USA rally, meaning that there were counter-protesters there who weren't Antifa, and they were legit. But then Antifa came in. Those Antifa guys. Nah, it's always Antifa, right? It's always Antifa. And causing violence that led to 23 arrests. So how many could have been arrested? Yeah, dozens and dozens and dozens, right? Multiple people inside one group threw items at the opposing group. And while arresting individuals were assaulted by other individuals, the police were assaulted, leading to an officer requiring medical treatment. I mean, Mayor Bruce Harrell criticizes the far-right rally. That's it. That's right. You go to church, you have Christian beliefs, you have any faith, you are now a far-right extremist. And you are responsible for provoking the violent reaction. It's logic that doesn't have any basis in reality. And over half of the country saw this in the last election and went, Democrat. No, even though we may not really agree with a lot of what Trump says, at least he doesn't say what these people say on the far left and the left, because Bruce Harrell is supposed to be a moderate Democrat. And here he is pulling this kind of crap, right? Seattle is proud of our reputation as a welcoming, inclusive city for LGBT communities, but not people who worship, and we stand with our trans neighbors. Okay, so when you're standing with your trans neighbors and they account for what? Less than 1% of the population? How's that working out for you? How's that whole reproductive rights thing in that last election work out for you? Not good, but keep going down these roads. You know, that's the literal definition of an insanity. You keep going down these roads and you expect a different result. Oh, maybe we'll win this election. Maybe we'll get this one. Oh, let's try. Trans people, when they face bigotry and injustice. Where was the bigotry? Where was the injustice? Today's far-right rally was held here for this very reason. This is Bruce Harrell, to provoke a reaction by promoting beliefs that are inherently opposed to our city's values. In the heart of Seattle's most prominent LGBTQ plus neighborhood, which your office issued a permit for. Yeah. Oof. He continued, anarchists infiltrated, yada, yada. Harrell added his support for people who peacefully protest an extreme right-wing national effort to attack our trans and LGBTQ plus communities. Nope, I think people just aren't down with the whole, messing with the kids thing. They're just not. And they're pushing back and they're saying, you know what? We believe something different. We have a different belief system. And you know what? We have the right to do a rally, do a worship event, whatever it is you want to call it. Here we go. May Day USA is on a 5-city tour holding religious rallies to, as event co-sponsor Jenny Donnelly said, stand for our children. Okay? Stand for our children. Restore the family union and proclaim the gospel of Jesus. That is now far-right rhetoric. Protecting children, family unit, hey, restoring that, proclaiming the gospel of Jesus. Yeah, that's far-right rhetoric, right? It's extremism. That's how it's viewed by Seattle. That's how it's viewed by Portland, San Francisco. That's where this has gone. That's exactly where this has gone. And that's why I say, let her rip. Because down the road, this isn't going to work out well. It's just not. There's so many people out there that are like, oof, yeah. I have so many friends that are moderate Democrats, and they have been quiet. They have been quiet from the standpoint of this kind of nonsense going on, and I don't even have to bring it up. Don't even have to bring it up, because this kind of thing right here tells you everything you need to know. All right. So Democrats believe what? Even the moderate ones believe what? Oh, well, that's not what I believe. I believe children shouldn't be messed with. Sex with children is wrong. I believe that. And the family unit, I mean, you can have a belief in that. And LGBTQ community, you guys can believe whatever you want to believe. You can both coexist. It's not impossible. And proclaim the gospel of Jesus. All right. Yeah. A lot of people around the world believe in Jesus. Yeah. Oh, Catholic deal going on? Part of Christianity? That's a thing. You got so many people looking in going, oh, we're no longer doing the Jesus thing. Sex with kids is okay. And the family unit, oh, we got to get rid of that because that's proven to be advantage to who? You get rid of the family unit and you doing what? How's that benefiting anybody? How's that? It's not. It's not. And everybody knows it. Everybody can see it. And when you see these events with Antifa, it's kind of like the emperor has no clothes. You got a bunch of lunatics who are wildly overweight. The only way they can get attention is to color their hair blue or pink, and then they just shout a bunch of nonsensical stuff. And then they get arrested and they scream out, "Why was I arrested?" And then they get, bonded out by some NGO that is there in place to basically help these people out so they can rinse, repeat, because these people don't have anything else going on. They got nothing else going on a beautiful Saturday afternoon in Seattle than to go bust up somebody else's worship event. That's what they're doing. The absolute pinnacle of intolerance is what that is. Yeah, it's hypocrisy at its greatest. And Mayor Bruce Harrell, got to tell you, the optics on this one are not good. This is not a good look. This is not a good look. Moderate, okay. But you can't be, you know, you can't be saying that Seattle stands for something different. Because it's just, what? You doing what? Because nobody's saying, hey, nobody's coming out and saying, we want to eradicate all homosexuals. That's not a thing. That was not part of their thing. You can believe whatever you want. I don't have to believe what you believe. You don't have to believe what I believe. But we have the right to say it out loud. And it's not a big deal. And it's, you know, it's the actual definition of tolerance, which somehow the far left talks about all the time, but doesn't practice at all. This event was a perfect example of how the left has zero tolerance for anything other than their own ideology, which is just mentally unstable at best. It's the way I see it. All right. Thanks for being here. Catch up with you in the next one. Love to have you subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.